So now what I can do is I can lock my image layer and go to my build layer. Now because we have our guides, we don't have to worry about doing two sides of the image. We can just focus on the left side so that we can duplicate it later on. So I'm going to press P for the pen tool, and I'm going to start tracing over this elephant. I actually might just move this in the center a bit more, just to get that look. Alright, that's good. I'll lock that. Go back there and press P for the pen tool. I'm going to left click and then start clicking and dragging and tracing over the silhouette of the image. Holding Alt or Option, and you can actually move those handlebars to get a curve, or just edit that that path. And you know, you can skip past it. It can be very organic. It doesn't have to be sharp. That's why I'm doing it more curvy. I'm going to shift it to the stroke there, and then we'll just connect it here like that. And then I'm going to bump up the stroke. You can also edit strokes by going Window, Stroke Panel here. And this is the stroke panel here, so you can see I can actually round these off. You can see the cap is now rounded if I do the round cap. I can also play around with the dash line, but we can leave it on that. I'm going to drop the weight there, just like this, and I'll start building the other elements. So we want some of the outlines of his face. Like that, and you can sort of just overlap the stroke there. And then for the eyes, we're just going for a minimal look, so you actually can keep it really simple. Just like that. Then we'll come down here, and all I'm doing is just, you know, tracing the parts that I want. You can see that all these parts are separate, but we can fix those later. I mean, we want that because we want it to be editable and not interfere. Then we can create the tusks. We can just follow the tusk like this, or you can make it more curvy. I prefer to have a bit of a different tusk, so I'm not going to follow that. So you can make it a bit more less realistic. Just delete that. And just going through here. You can see it's too pointy, so I can just round that cap off around the corner. And just tweak it. Awesome. So yeah, the tusk there, and now we'll just got to finish this, the trunk. And because it's a front on face, the trunk is not gonna, we don't want the trunk to look weird. We can actually make it come down like that, but the way I've done it, I do it like this. And then I create sort of an illusion so the trunk's right in front. And then you can just like that. And then when we copy it down later, it'll be fine. And then sort of just do that, a little stroke here, just to create like the nose or the end of the trunk there. And there we have it. We've done the main part. You can add more lines to add more details if you want. To add like a bit of an outline. Yeah, just to show that the ear's there. And I've added it on my original piece. You can see that I've added like a nice headdress thing to give it a bit of flavor. So what you can actually do for this is just create a square or a rectangle. And I'm just gonna press A for the direct selection tool and then round these corners off by selecting the little white balls. And then I'm just gonna create copies of this and then bring it in. Just wait. Instead of that, actually we'll go to object path, offset path, do preview and tick around this time on the joints. And then we can just do it like this, like that. And then what we can do is if you select these rectangles and press C, you'll get this scissor tool up. And what you can actually do is select the stroke and just put cuts, and it will cut it for you. And using the guides to help you, make sure your smart guides are on as well. Smart guides is go to view, smart guides, and it will help you guide your point. And then once again, select these two strokes, delete the sides that you don't want. And then what I can do, just holding shift and just dragging this down so that stroke, you can't see it. Just like that. So you can see those strokes are all there, they're clean. And there you have it. There's our main elephant or main guy, and then we can, edit it later or change it up. So I'm going to delete this image here. And, we can make it bigger and then bring it to the center still. And keep it like that. So once we've done our main element, we can focus on the rest. And for the rest of these elements, you can actually use techniques that make it quicker. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a circle. Press L for the ellipse tool. And this is how we're going to do this bottom bit. So what I'm going to do is Control C, Control F, and copy that, drag that up. And then what I'm going to do is just drag this, make sure it's the same size. So just select the eyedropper and then select the smaller circle. And what I'm going to do is select them both, go to Object, Blend, and Make. You can see that. Now it's going to make a blend. And what we can do now is go to Blend again and go to Blend Options. And we're going to change the spacing to specified steps. And what this allows us to do is allows us to increase the steps or the lines so we can have more. So this is a handy trick. So maybe 7 or 8 if you want. 7's pretty fine. The orientation, you can leave it to this, which is going to center it, and press OK. So now all it registers as 2 lines and it's blended the strokes in between. So once again, just align it to the middle. You can see the guides and bring it down. And then you can just scale it up. And even holding Alt and Option, you can do it like that. And sweet. And then what we can do from here, we can actually expand it if we want. So if I go to Object, Expand, it's going to expand it. You'll get a box. You can just tick it, leave these box ticks and press OK. And it's going to expand all these strokes individually. And what we can actually do now is I'm going to select this bottom half that we don't want. And I'm going to delete those. Now we're just stuck with these strokes here, which is all we want. And it's still grouped. So that's for the bottom bit. And it's looking good. We can do the same thing for our lawn or our grassy area here, our grasslands. Same thing. I'm going to use the pen tool, just create a stroke. Make another one. And then select them again and go to Object, Blend. And the blend's too much. So for this time, we've got to drop it. Make sure it's on specified steps. And it was on 41 for some reason. I don't know why. And then once again, you can go to 7. Or maybe less. We'll go like 5. That looks decent. And holding Alt, I'm just going to bring this down a bit. And using the guides, we can use it. Yeah, I'm just going to move this up. So we've got that. Once again, we're going to go to Object, Expand, and then press Enter. And then if you want to edit it, we can actually delete it, or we can actually just bring it all the way right way across. So if you want to delete a line, we can delete it. Or if we want to make one shorter, that's why I've expanded that. And we want to make sure that it's not interfering with these circles here. So what we can actually do again, I'm going to double click and it's going to go into isolation mode. And what we can actually do here is use the scissor tool again and just cut all these strokes. So I'm just going to go through. And you can see where it's interjecting or interlining with the circles. Just, you want to cut that. There's other ways to do this, but we can just do it like that for now. And then what we're going to do, I just exited out of isolation mode and I'm just selecting those strokes and just deleting them like that. So you can see you got all these strokes, but it's still grouped, which is nice in case you want to use those lines for later. Or we can just change the color in one go. So you can see that I can change that. Awesome. So we've got our, our main sun or sunflower, whatever you want to call it, in our lawn. Now we're going to move on to doing the trees. So for these trees, I just did a simple rectangular shape. And by doing this, you can go to the shape tools and go to star. Left click and drag out. And we don't want too many corners. We just want to make it once. So if you press up and down, it's going to increase the sides like that. If you want a ninja star, you can do 4, but we just want 1. So we've got a triangle here. And I want to make it more thinner like that. Just drag this up. And I'm just going to make sure it's the same size. A nice rule to keep is having all the strokes the same size. So usually 5 points is nice, or maybe 4 points. So it just depends on what you want. I'm going to stick with 4 points for now. And sometimes when you scale this up, you can see how the stroke changes width. But I want to keep it at 4 points, so it's consistent throughout the whole poster. So you can see if I change it back to 4 points, that's how small it is. But it went bigger. To get rid of this, what you can actually do is go to transform. And if you click the little drop down menu on the right there, you can actually see scale, strokes, and effects. If you untick this and we'll go back to 4 points, if you scale it, it won't scale the stroke. It'll keep it on the same width. So that's a trick you can do. You can also go to file and document setup. And you can do it through here or go into preferences. So if you go to preferences as well, you can change that as well. But we're just going to leave it like this for now. And we're just going to make a few trees. And just using the pencil again. Click, click. And then click away from it. And then press P tool again. Click once. And then click again like this. So we've got a nice tree. And then what I'm going to do, holding shift and left click these 2 lines, press O for the reflect tool. So you can see here on the left, the reflect tool. I'm going to find this center anchor point. Holding option, if you just left click whilst having the reflect tool selected. And you can see now it's going to flip it, reflect. Make sure preview is on. And what we're going to do, we want to make a copy. So we have it on the right side and click that. And now we just made it that little tree and the branches in there. So what I can do now is select it all and actually group it by clicking, dragging over it and going Control Command G. And then I'm going to hold Alt and make a copy there like that. And then just going to place them in, holding Alt to copy it and then just dragging that down. Actually, we're going to hold Shift and scale it from the corner of the bounding box. Or the middle bounding box. And then once again, we can actually just scissor it, select it, and then use C to cut it away. The anchor points, and also just move these points like that. You can also go into outline mode to get a closer look. like that. Or we can actually delete that. Delete. So it's just a matter of cleaning that up. And maybe even some of them might not have branches. Or you can even make them smaller. The rule that I'm using for these strokes is I'm probably going to go 4 points, and then if it's a smaller stroke, I'm going to go to 2-point stroke. So it's like going half. So you go 4 or you go half. So it's good to make these little rules. So maybe we can see what the difference looks like on these branches. So you can see that doesn't look too bad. Or we can just leave it on 4 and leave it chunky for now. But you know, we can apply that rule later on. I might just delete this. So we have that, we have our trees. And now we're going to work on our waterfall. For these, what I did, just simply pen tool again, press P and just start holding shift. What holding shift does allows you to create 45-degree or 90-degree angles, which is awesome. So if I hold shift, it's going to make sure that it's mathematically correct. And then what I can do is just holding Alt, we're going to drag these across, and then press A for the selection tool, the direct selection tool, and I'm going to use the anchor points and bring them up. And you can see we can make it even, the spacing, make some smaller, make some longer, like that. And maybe we can, that should be fine. And then I can group these, and then I'm going to go over here using the guides, holding shift, just like that. And then what I can do, bring these in, holding Alt, just so we can have a copy on the side there. So you can see that. And then once again, we can edit this bit here because it's just too long. Just like that. So it looks like we have like a waterfall or a cliff, by adding those nice straight lines. And then once again, I just can hold Alt and copy that across. And using the pen tool, just clicking and adding these sections here, holding shift, boom, 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 just like that. And then if we want some variation, we can actually just go back here, copy this, and maybe just add a bit more variation. I'll make sure, trying to align it. So it's all about just making adjustments, making it look consistent without like clogging too much space, because you don't want too much visual tension. So you can see this is too close to each other, so I'm going to make this lower. I'm just editing it. Sweet, so we look like we have these waterfalls. It's looking really good. I'll just connect that. Sweet. It doesn't have to be pixel perfect, but I like to, do a good job. So we started to do this long area, and you can see as we started to, let it go, it's starting to come together. It's symmetrical as well. And you can see here the bottom, we didn't actually reflect it, but you can see just by using these effects, the other side's already done for us. So you can see for the elephant, if I select the elephant now, pressing O, and then we're going to find the center point, and then holding Option again, like we did before, and then we're going to create copy. So just like that, we have our other half. I'll do the same for the mountains or the waterfall, and I'm just going to make sure that these are grouped together by pressing Ctrl G, just so we don't make a mess. I want to move these up a bit. That's grouped. Once again, we can reflect, copy, and then group the trees. Control G. Now these are grouped. And then we're going to hold Option, press O for the reflect tool again, copy that. So just like that, it's really easy to make a symmetrical monoline poster. We've done our bottom half, and now as we continue to build out, we can do it for the top bit as well. Just make this. I want it a bit overlapping. Make sure you save your work. So I'm going to press Ctrl S, save that out. To create our nice little sunburst effect in the middle, what we can actually do that is just add a stroke, press P for the pen tool, click and click. And then what we can actually do is this time we're going to use the rotate tool. So if you select it, press R, and then find the center of that stroke, and then holding Option or Alt, it's going to pop up with the box, and we can actually rotate it maybe 10 degrees or 20. We'll go 20 degrees. Try and keep it a denomination of 360 so it's actually, balanced. And press copy. And you'll see it should make a copy just like that. And what we're going to do now is press Command D or Control D. And it's going to duplicate that. If you hold it, it's duplicate it really quickly. So that's created out like a sunburst. I can press Control G. And that will group that. I'll just change the color so we can see it. Once again, I'm just going to turn on my guides and find the center point. And Control Shift left square bracket to bring it behind there. So you can see for this that it's going out of the lines, and we want it to be within this nice box. So what we can actually do is the pen tool again. And then I'm just going to make sure that doesn't connect to these waterfalls. So I'm just going to lock these, and I'll just lock the sunburst for now. And we're just going to make a outline. Holding Shift, make sure it's aligning together. Okay, make sure that's connected. I'll just change the color so you can see it. So we have this box, and what we can actually do is select the box and then unlock, press Command Alt 2. If you go to Object, you can also group objects here and also lock and unlock here. I'm going to select this box here that we just made. I'll just drag it out. You can see there. I'm going to select that and then select the starburst together. And then a quick shortcut is using Shift M. What this is going to do is going to bring up the Shape Builder tool. And what we can do is quickly minus out all these lines. So if I hold Alt, you'll see my mouse change to a minus. I'm going to click and drag like that, and you can see it wipes it out. So super quick, just like that. And now we have those nice starbursts, or those lines within our elephant. So you can see that now. Really handy. I was going to bring this to the back. So that was quick. But you can see the lines are interfering with our elephant. So what we want to do, we actually want to just lock everything around it. We'll lock these two. And we'll select all our elephant. Make sure you don't miss any of the strokes. I'm going to group those together. So you can see I've got my elephant here. What I'm going to do is just create a copy so you can see. And what I'm going to do, we can actually use the shape builder again if we want. Press Shift M and hold Shift and click and drag over the whole shape, and it should add the shapes together. But you can see some of these strokes are not connected properly. So I'm just going to quickly connect these. Connect any strokes. And we're actually going to go to Object, Expand. Once again, press OK. And now if we do it again, it should do it. Shift M and click and drag. And now it's made up one shape. And make sure the fill is whatever color you want. And so now we've got the silhouette. So what I can do, just bring it on top of our elephant. So if we bring it to the back now, we can use that color and it's going to block out those lines that we don't want, so it doesn't interfere with our illustration. Or, you can add some cool effects by doing it the same color as that. And we can play around with the color a bit later, but for now, I'm just going to use that. So we've got our main path. Now just to do the top part. Same sort of elements. We're going to go to M for the rectangle tool, and to get this little fence type of design, we can actually just make a rectangle. And what we can do here is press P for the pen tool, and we want to make sure you select the line or the path, and then click in the center to add a anchor point to this path. And then what I'm going to do is select this anchor point by pressing A, then clicking on it. So the direct selection tool, and just making that pointy fence like that. And what we can actually do is just hold Alt or Option and then copy it across, pressing Control D again. Or you can also use the blend tool, whichever way you prefer. It's probably easier to use the blend tool. So if we're just going to add it, and we'll maybe make it smaller. And if I go to the other side, using the guards to help us, select and select, and then go to Object, Blend, Make. Once again, it's blended those in. And if it looks a bit off, we can actually go to the blend mode and fix that up. So if you want it more spaced out, or you can do 28, it's going to be directly on top of it. Actually, we'll go 27, is fine. So if you select the color and just change it, it's going to change, affect the whole thing. If you want a gradient look, the blend mode's pretty sweet. If you select one side of the shapes, it's going to do a gradient, which is pretty cool. Bring that to the back. So we've got our fence. And to build this little hot air balloon, simple shapes, we're just going to use a circle and squares. So just bring this up. And I'll use the pen tool. Left click, like that. Once again, reflect. Find the center point of the circle. Reflect that. And then I'm just going to make this shorter. Make sure you click and drag and select the anchor point. And then we're going to make a rectangle here. I'm going to round this off. So if you do corner round, it's going to round those corners like that. And then I'm going to direct selection tool, use that and round off this bottom to get like a little basket like that. Then we can make this smaller. So it looks like it's floating in the air. And then we can make the mountains. Once again, we can use the star tool to get the triangle look. And then I'm going to use the pen tool and just click so we can get some snow. Once again, if you select both of them, you can use the shape builder tool and hold Alt or Option to minus that off. So I'm going to bring this here, make a copy. We can bring that behind everything. You can change this if you want. Or even make the fences smaller. Make it shorter. I want to just copy this across. It's a triangle. Make sure it's centered. Make it bigger. Once again, I'm just going to cut these off. I can cut this part off as well. Like that. So we got this and we're going to copy it across. So then for these clouds, I'm just going to trace them over with my pen tool. Clicking on the stroke. And then group it together so you make sure it's all one. And then you can actually just copy it across and actually flip it. So you can use the transform panel, go to that and flip horizontal to add some variation. And once again, we can make the strokes smaller. Like that. So we have that. And then for the Safari, I'm just going to use a typeface. Peru is a free one and it's nice. So we can put that just in the center. Just like that. I'm going to lock the typography. And once again, I'm going to select these, use a reflect tool, and then make a copy. And I'm just going to select all these objects and make sure it's behind. So you can also go to Object. And if you go to Arrange, you can see Bring to Front or Center Back. So this is the shortcut keys. It's square bracket, and that's going to be the quick way to bring that to the back. So you can see it's behind the elephant, like that. So there you have it. We've got our main elements now. And what we're going to do now is start to focus on color and making it look nice.